Alright guys, so um just I'm gonna try to make this video quick, but I just needed to talk to you guys about the battery relocations. There's a local Rx8 owner who I was able to meet with today and look at the battery placement in the trunk area around the back seat. Some of you have asked about putting it behind the passenger seat or the driver's seat instead of dead center. I did do that. I looked at that, and a couple of big concerns when we were both looking at it came up. Here's the plate. Here's the plate we're talking about. The plate fits up center. It's a little tricky to wiggle up there, but it'll fit center, left, or right. But what I was realizing that is going to be an issue for anyone installing the kit is truthfully, it's going to be very tricky to get installed behind the rear seats because underneath the trunk floor, underneath the rear seat area, there are some fuel system components, some emissions components there, some of which only have between, I don't know, a 1/4 inch to maybe 3/8 inch spacing off the trunk floor. Those things can be loosened and drop down a little bit, give you a little bit more working space, but it still raises the concern that, hey, this is a tight squeeze, and if you're not careful drilling, you can potentially hit these components when you drill through the trunk floor. Obviously, there's a gap, so once you finish drilling through the metal, it's gonna drop free. If you're careful, you won't hit your components, but that's very hard to do, and due to some of the complications involved with that, I'm reconsidering setting it up to be behind the back seats, and I'm instead considering setting it up for you guys to where the batteries are placed beside, like right behind the tail light housing instead. So those little cubbies off to the sides of your trunk when you first open it, having the battery placed there instead. It looks cleaner on the driver's side. It looks very clean installed on the driver's side. However, I also understand that some of you may not like that and may want to put it on the passenger side because you're thinking about offsetting the weight of the driver, etc. Mind you guys, you're taking the weight off the nose of the car where the car is a little bit front biased and putting it on the back of the car. I mean, unless you're a professional racer, you're probably not going to notice the difference between the left and right side. Many of us might not even notice the difference of the battery relocated from the front to the back. But the purpose of this mod is to free up some space in the engine bay, as also adding a degree of reliability because you're not effectively cooking your battery. So with that said, I'll put some pictures up right here, hopefully, that will show kind of some of the differences between mounting the battery in the trunk, between the seat area or the two sides. I would like feedback from you guys, but realize that it is a much more difficult install putting it up against the back seat. If you put it in those little cubbies there in the trunk area by the tail light housings, the area underneath the trunk floor is completely open, and you can just take this plate and you can pop it right up in place and no headaches, and you can have that battery at least secured in the trunk in 10 minutes. It's very simple. But if you're going to go the route of putting it up against the back seat, the work involved, the back and forth from getting under the car and back into the trunk, and just lining everything up, that portion of the install could easily take an hour just by making sure that you don't mess anything up. So I just wanted to let you guys know I looked into what you guys had been asking me about, because you, the viewers, and my customers, your concerns and everything, that takes precedence as far as I want to make sure I take care of you guys. But I'm thinking that for sake of install simplicity for you guys, I might want to move it to back in that little cubby corner. so that it can be a nice, clean, simple install. It still looks good, it still serves its purpose and does what we need it to do, but it's going to be a lot easier ultimately. The battery is going to be a lot more accessible, and if you need to push anything far back into your trunk, obviously you're not sacrificing that space. So I appreciate you guys watching the video and supporting me. You guys have a great night.